All right, good morning, everyone. We are very excited, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We are very excited for you all to be in this webinar. As people are getting in, we're just going to make our introductions here, and then Sal from Redhawk is joining shortly, and we will kick it off in the next 5 minutes. George, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name's George Zeeks. I'm with Automotive Training Institute. Been with the ATI for, 18 and a half years. Golly, that's a long time. That sounds like a long, long time. So there you go.
And Eric, would you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Eric Twiggs. I've been with ATI since 2009. So this is my 15th year. Conducted well over 30,000 coaching sessions. And fortunately, one of the coaching sessions I've conducted is with Redhawk Auto, which we'll talk all about today.
And David, you're up. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is David Smith. I've been with AutoVitals since 2019, and before that, I've been in the industry for we'll just say over 30 years. So been a little while in the industry.
Awesome, great. And my name is Lauren. I've been with AutoVitals off and on for the past 5 years, and I have the distinguished pleasure of moderating this webinar. So that'll mean I'll be asking all of our panelists questions as we go through and really letting their wisdom shine. So just a couple notes on the format of the webinar before we get started. It's going to be relatively informal. The main goal is to get as much knowledge out of our automotive industry experts as possible on what enabled Redhawk Auto's success to go from one location in 2005 to one of ATI's top shops in 2021, and now expanding to 3 locations with more on the way in California. So Eric and George, can you just share a little bit while Sal's jumping in about where Redhawk started when they came to you and what they're seeing now in terms of results?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go. So when I first started working with Redhawk Auto, shout out to Tom Grady, who's the CEO, and Sal, who's the COO, who's going to be joining us. I think they had some good things in place. They were in the Mastermind 20 group, but there were some challenges as far as just the day-to-day execution, right? And I think things changed for the better for them when they teamed up with AutoVitals. And we would always talk about just some of the executional items like DVI sent, DVI is completed, and the numbers. At first, they weren't in a good place, but they've really put in some focus, and they've just the results have just gone to a completely different level. And I think they would even attribute the fact that they were like the top shop in their volume category. A lot of that had to do with the consistency of them executing the AutoVitals program.
One of the things that you have to look at, okay, so Redhawk came in 2011 with ATI. And they came in pretty much as a regular shop, a fairly typical shop that we would get. I don't want to go through exactly what their numbers are, but their numbers have gone up, over 6 times in that one location. But also, it's a really good example of a shop that'll rise to a plateau, and they may sit there for a little bit, but Redhawk really hasn't sat at a single plateau for very long. One of the deadliest traps is, okay, I'm doing good enough. I'm paying my bills. I've got some extra money in the bank. I'm good. And then it's okay. Well, I'm doing that, and I've got some money, but I don't have any time off. Okay, so now you hit another plateau. Oh, now I'm paying my bills. I'm taking a week or 2 of vacation. I've got money in the bank. I'm good. And if you're good there, okay, fine, you're good there. But what do you want more? And one of the things that happens is you have to look at what tools do you have. And I think AutoVitals is a very key part of when you're managing multiple locations. You must have the tools that you can look at and compare across locations. Where are we strong? Where are we not strong? One shop's doing awesome in one thing, one shop's, they're struggling with something else. Being able to create that custom-made dashboard that you create yourself with the help, I think that's a a really clear example of a plateau breaker that allows you to, okay, now we're here. It can become massively overwhelming if you don't have that tool. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, and one of the things we've been talking about, myself and the Redhawk team, is that you can't accept anything in a victory that you wouldn't accept during a defeat, right? That's a lot. That's one of the things that coaches will say all the time in sports. And so the challenge with Redhawk is like a bad week for them would be a great week now for what, 80% of the shops in America. And it's easy to, like George said, it's easy to get to the point you start plateauing, you start saying, well, we're still doing well. But they've really embraced this mentality of, and that's why you see coaches in sports, the team wins by 20, but the coach is all over them as far as, hey, you missed this block, you didn't run this right, you didn't do that right. And that's the mindset Redhawk has embraced. And I think having this dashboard to really see the numbers and really go at the numbers and the results, regardless of if in the grand scheme of things, it's a good performance.
One of the things, you have to meet people where they're at. And when you start running multiple shops, and AutoVitals is not just a multi-shop owner platform. They do single shops too. Just we're happy to be talking about Redhawk. That's why we're bringing that up a couple times. But you may have a manager, and let's use me for example. Okay, so I love talking to people. I love working with people. I'm not a big Excel sheet person. Just not that guy. Okay. I like having data. I just don't want to build the Excel spreadsheet to give me the data, if that makes sense. That's why I like dashboards so much, because I don't got to do the work. But with somebody like me, I can use the data and I can talk to the people and I can work that. But you have to meet your different managers or your crew or your key people. Where do they live? What's the area that they're going to be strong at? And that's where you need this kind of information so that you could do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing that's helpful is that you can set up the alerts, right? So you can, you could say, when I go past this amount of, well, if I go below this amount of photos taken per car or this, it gives you the alert to go back and double check, because especially with an operation like Redhawk, there's so many other areas of the business that we can get into. It's good to really have those notifications and alerts to be able to go back and dig deeper.
And on the flip side of that, okay, way too often, and this is just me, I don't praise enough. I don't say good job enough. I'm just not that good at it. My wife yelled at me the other day, and she said, one of the grandkids is feeling some kind of way about their handwriting. And I said, why? And I was like, well, you're helping them with their homework. I said, yeah, I helped them with their homework and they got the stuff right. They did a good job, but their handwriting sucks. and I said, you better learn how to type really good, because that's going to be your future. If you're going to make a living off of handwriting, you're going to be digging ditches. And she said, well, you really hurt their feelings and you hurt the way they, I'm like, oh, okay. So that's not a power skill for me. But with this, especially with the alerts and knowing, oh, wow, okay, this, not only did this one go down, this one went up. That gives me the opportunity to praise somebody, which I could use that little red light in the corner of my eye. Yeah, that would come in handy for me.
It's still a work in progress, Joe.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
All right. Well, the man of the hour, Sal, is here. What would technology be without a couple of hiccups? So thank you, Sal, for joining, and apologies for the difficulty.
No, I apologize. Thank you for having me.
We are so honored to have you. And could you do a brief introduction of yourself and how long you've been with Redhawk?
Well, I'm Sal Hernandez. I've been with Redhawk for 3 years now, 3 years and 2 months. And I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. So when you joined the Redhawk team, I assume you were working in automotive after that, or what attracted you to join the Redhawk team about 3 years ago?
Well, for 14 years, I was working for Big O Tires. I was an area manager, a district manager. And, they sold the company to a corporation. So then I decided to move to a family-owned business called Ramona Tires, which is also a Firestone affiliate. And I was a manager for a location down in Temecula. I was there for 8 years. Then I saw the opportunity, I wasn't happy there. Things started changing. They also sold to a corporation, Sun Auto. So then I said, you know what? Yeah, this is not for me. So I started looking on Indeed and kept seeing Tom's Redhawk Auto Service ad in there. And I decided, you know what? Let me give this guy a call. Gave him a call, and I wasn't even going to go. I said, you know what? I'm making good money. I don't know if I want to go, and I prayed about it and showed up that day. We spent 3 hours, 3.5 hours, Tom and I talking. And he goes, I want to expand. I want to open a new satellite location. And here we are. It's been a great ride with him.
Awesome. Yeah, a testament to how much effort it takes to get good people in the seats at the shop. 3 hours interview. That is not a short interview.
Yeah, 3.5 hours. Then he showed me the Wolf location, our satellite location, and I was like, I'm in. Where do I sign? And then God rest her soul, Donna, his wife, and my wife met him at the country club where he lives in Canyon Lake, and we were there for about 2.5 hours talking. So yeah, it was a very, very, very long interview.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like when you joined the Redhawk team, Tom knew he wanted to expand. They had started that process, but now since you've been on board, 2 more locations and more on the way, what have some of the early challenges been in that expansion, and how have you guys overcome it?
The early challenge was he was running a car wash back in 2005. So he found out that the Redhawk was available. So he bought it. The challenge that he had there was, it was stagnant. I mean, the sales weren't going up, and he was running the car wash. So he owned eight car washes back then. So this was just kind of like a, it's their type of deal shop where it just sat there. And I mean, he wanted to get it going, but it was just stagnant. That was the challenge there.
Yeah, so obviously you called in some help as you've gone. So you signed up with ATI, Redhawk did in 2011, and then AutoVitals in 2021. What tools have you had at your disposal in the past 3 years, and how have you used those different tools to kind of get over that barrier? Because we talk to shops all the time, and that's the one thing they're struggling with, is it's hard to get to that next level, to break the pattern of being stagnant.
With ATI, they've given us, a lot of resources, a lot of tools. We got the CEO class, we got the COO class, we got Eric as our coach, Mike Bennett. We also got masterminds. So we have a lot of resources, and we get a lot of information going to these conferences and going, talking to Eric. We have a meeting with Eric once a month, the executives, myself, Scott, and Tom. We go over all the locations that we have and what's in the future. So we use those tools and that information they're giving us, and we go out and apply it, and it's been great. Same thing with AutoVitals. AutoVitals has been a fantastic tool for us. We were with Bolt-On, and that wasn't working for us, especially when we're expanding, especially having the Wolf store, having the Wolf location. It made it so much easier for communication. Bolt-On doesn't have that kind of technology yet. They're still stuck. To me, it feels like they're still stuck in the 2005, 2006. AutoVitals brings something better, and that's helped us out. Those are the tools we use. We use ATI, especially ATI with the resources. We have an issue, Eric and Mike Bennett are always there. If I have a problem, I'll call Eric. If Scott has a problem, we'll call Eric, and they really help us out. That's been a big success, with working with ATI and AutoVitals.
Awesome. So Eric, as Sal's coach, can you shed some light too on, what are the things that you guys have been working on? You've been their coach for the past 5 years, and how have you seen them progress to, again, continue to grow and expand?
Well, I think Sal agreed when they first got on AutoVitals, the challenge was really getting consistent with the DVI send rate and even the DVI completion rate. So initially, our calls, whether it was with Sal, whether it was with the other managers, we'd say, okay, what are you going to be at this week? All right. And so the next week, and then it got to the point where if I didn't talk about it, the standard was in place. And one of the things is that Sal and the team, they have this growth mindset. They're never satisfied. They're hungry. They don't get complacent. And they, like I said before Sal came on, I mean, their bad weeks now would be better than most people's good weeks across the country, the way they're performing, but they're still hungry and they're still trying to take it to the next level. So I certainly commend them. We, certainly we can credit ATI, you can credit me, but at the end of the day, Sal and the team, they have to put in the work, and they do that.
I think one of the really important things too, for all you shop owners out there, you're going to start with you running your business, your goal, your vision, your strategy. What do you want? Where do you want to go? And then you need to find tools to help you get there. Now, here's the problem. You have to convert those tools that you're using to people like Sal, to Sal and the management team. And with what AutoVitals has set up, it's very easy to make that transition, and they can customize their own view, so they could go in and add another. Okay, I want to look at this. Okay, and maybe you only look at this for a little while, and you go, okay, we're solid on that, because you're not going to pick every single thing. There's too many. They offer too many things for you to look at, and if looking at too many things is bad, it's not looking at anything. But having that tool that you can pass down to the management team, and Sal, what's that feel like for you, having the tools available so you can see things happening?
It's great, because when I use the tools and the resources I have, and I delegate it down, it goes so smooth. Everything's so smooth. There's no chaos, like when Eric and, we would sit down and talk about DVIs, and I go, Eric, how am I going to do this? We're only at 40%. We're running 90 to 100% now. He goes, you got to stay on them. And every week I'd stay on him. And it's just, he would go, use this tool. I go, what tool? He goes, if they don't do it, tell them you're going to take away that invoice. There was different ways of using it, and you know what? It's worked. These tools have worked, it makes it so much easier. Now, I look at AutoVitals at the end of the day, and I ain't worried about somebody being at 50 or 40%. I wanted to get it 100% every single month, but I mean, that takes time. We're working on it. It's great having those tools. It feels it's a lot off my shoulders. You know what I mean? A lot off my shoulders, and I use them. For everybody listening, you got to use those tools. You got to use the tools you have at your hands. I call Chris Dunn every 2 weeks from AutoVitals.
Yeah.
You got to use those tools.
Yeah, so like you said, it is hard. No one's gonna sit here and be like, oh, it's the easiest thing in the world to get from 40% or 0% inspection rate up to the 90, 95%, 100%. Like you said, you have to stay on your staff a lot. How do you get their buy-in so that you can continue to expand? Is it just the growth mindset, or what else? What other strategies do you use to get your team to really buy into your new processes?
It's the growth process. Our team wants to grow. Our team wants to grow. And I told them the way you're going to grow is by doing the DVIs right. What happens if you do a good DVI? You're going to make money. The technicians are going to make money. And guess what? We make money. And then our CEO makes money enough to purchase these other locations. That's why we're doing it. And then these guys want to grow. We built a culture, and we hire A players, that want to grow. So the way they want to grow is the way I tell them, the way you want to grow is we want to grow through AutoVitals, through DVIs, and following the process and the procedures, or else we're going to stay stagnant. We're going to stay with just 3 locations, and these guys want to grow, but it was hard with the AutoVitals to get it up to 80%. And you know what I did? I go, I'm tired of you guys writing it down on the back of the invoice of what you guys need. This is going to make it a lot easier for you. And they saw that it made it easier and easier. And look at, we're growing. They see the change that it made with their paychecks.
One of the things that I had to eat crow on, because I was too old school. And when DVIs first came out, I said, okay, but this is never going to replace that belly to belly, that person to person conversation. I mean, a great salesman is going to be a great salesman. But what I've found is an okay salesman becomes a good salesman when you add DVIs in. Okay. Now you're not going to necessarily go from great to exceptional. Okay. Cause that's still the people skills. But when you go from okay to good, the bottom line goes up dramatically. Total sales goes up dramatically. There's so many things that you have available. It's worth the conversion. And for those of you that are doing DVIs, yeah, out of the 140, 150,000 shops in America, DVIs are nowhere near market saturation, not even close. We get people, new members all the time at ATI, and they, I heard of those DVI things. What's that about? I was like, oh, okay, let's talk. But it's a great tool. If you're not using it, you need to look into it. It's a great tool.
So
I
one of the quick things, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
We look at the little things, right? Sending a DVI is a little thing. Doing a DVI, the little things, it's easy to do. They're easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. And that's where Sal comes in. And, this should give everybody watching hope, right? It should say, you should be thinking, okay, what's possible for me? Because Sal doesn't have any extra advantages that other shops in America don't have. It's just about focus and accountability. And if you apply the focus and you apply the accountability, you can start to see results like Sal has. So go ahead, Sal. I'm sorry.
I have a service advisor that's been with us for 18 years, Manny. And he was just terrible at DVIs. Remember, Eric? I mean, this guy was just terrible. But he was making 60s, he was selling 60, 70,000 without the DVIs. He's doing over 100,000 now. Because I hammered it into his head. This is how you're going to make money. This is how you're going to succeed, And I just kept going and digging and digging and digging. And Manny's not like computer savvy. Trust me, he can't even open his own email. But he got the DVI and he ran with it. I just hired another gentleman from Big Brand Tires that don't even do DVIs. At least not here in California. The guy's doing about 130,000 a month.
Nice.
When he first started with me, he's doing 60,000.
Nice.
And he's only been with me 90 days. He goes, this thing is awesome. I don't even have to have the customer come out to the back just to look at the car. I could send it to him and text him, and I could see when he's looking at it. He goes, wow. And this is a big corporation. He was a district manager for Big Brand Tires. That's why I say I hire A players. And this is a guy that ran Big Brand Tires, ran 16 other locations, and they don't have DVIs. How's Big Brand Tires doing? Think about it. It's just, you got to hammer into their minds. I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't used to DVIs till I got here, but Tom kept hammering me on it. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And then Eric, you got to do it. I mean, once I got them in, I don't even have to. I just go over there and look at the DVIs. I look at it from my computer, and I know what they're doing, and then they're doing great. They could do better. We could all do better, but it's far from where we came from. Very far from where we came from.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. I did want to ask one follow-up question, because hiring A players is probably one of the biggest challenges in the industry to date. How are you guys attracting those A players? Is it because you can show we're going to grow your paycheck almost by double because you're going to be doing double the monthly sales, or what are you doing differently than other shops to get those A players in your business?
The culture. People want to work for people. They don't want to work for a dictator. Tom's not a dictator. I'm not a dictator. We understand they have a family. Some guys are working 7 days, 6 days a week. The guys we have, I've had them with me since Big O days. I have guys that followed me that been with me for 15 years. I don't lie to my guys. So what happens? They go and tell their friends that work. I'll give you an example. Jeff Leach. I've known him. He worked for me at Ramona Tires for about a year and a half. And I kept bugging him to come work for us, and he heard about us. Finally, he came to work for me. He brought me 3 guys with him. Because he goes, wow, this culture is different. This is great. It's the culture. It's the way you treat your employees. Tom has always been about family. You got to treat your guys right. You know, when I first left, if you don't mind me telling a quick story, when I first left, I came from a dictator. A guy that would yell at you in meetings in front of all the managers. I didn't want to work for a guy like that. And I brought that. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little angry. I was going, I'm gonna work like this gentleman, like he used to run this corporation, this business, because he was successful. And Tom went, no, 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 no. We don't do that here at Red Hawk. Okay, we treat people with respect, and we don't want that culture. And I learned that was my beginnings. You know, I was learning. You know, you don't treat people like that. It's the culture. Now I got a bench. I'm opening 2 locations. I have a manager already. I got 2 advisors. I got 3 mechanics for 1 location. And hopefully the other location we have, I already got people lined up. They're actually waiting at their jobs. They go, Sal, let me know when you're ready to go. Because they want to work for us. They want to work for a good company that's treating them right, pays them right. It ain't always about the pay. I'm going to tell you that right now. It ain't always about the pay, because I got some guys that were making dollars and they said, you know what? I'll take a pay cut so I can spend time with my family. They're working from 7 to 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's times where we have to do that, but not every day. So we understand they got a family. It's always about culture. That's how you attract these A players.
Yeah, we're seeing that more and more. I mean, you can't steal a happy employee. And there was a study
Mhm.
by Glassdoor, and they could survey these people that left their jobs to get something else, and 75% of them said they left because of the boss
Mhm.
and not because of the work itself.
You know, I fight for my guys. I always will. I fight for my guys if they need something, and you know the manager says no. I go, why did you say no? You know, I was sent. You know, Tom's always has always told me, you know, go with the rebuttal. Why? You ask them why. Why'd they do that? You know, I let them answer it, and then I put them in that position. Imagine if you wanted a couple of days off with your family, and I told you no. How would you feel? And now my managers all follow the same thing. You know, my managers, I could honestly say, and I know this sounds, because I don't want it to sound too cocky, but I have the best managers that I think that I've hired. You know, they're just wonderful. We all work as a team. You know, it's just I mean, uh, there's no drama. And I could actually say that there's no drama. If somebody's got something against each other, they go and talk about it. And I've seen that. I have one-on-ones, and you know, with my guys, and you know, they're happy. I always ask him, and Tom always tells me, ask them if they're happy. Tom always asks me every month, once a month. He goes, "Are you happy?" "Yeah, I'm happy." "Okay." He asks everybody. You know, the other thing that makes a good culture is when the owner walks in, knows everybody's name, and goes and gives them a hug or a handshake. Everybody loves Tom. I could sit here and I've never seen that, where he goes to every location and he knows everybody's name. Not a number, a name. You know, we do lunches for the guys every 2 weeks. You know, we do parties, we do company picnics. We never did that before. But just to show them with success and everything, we're able to do that now. You know, so sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on. Go ahead.
No, not rambling at all. Very, very helpful advice. And it's very cool to see how that's coming from the top down. And, you know, I'm sure you guys find this, but also a lot of our clients find, like, when you have the data and you can show them exactly with numbers to measure every activity, you don't have to be that dictator, because you can just say, like, here's everyone's numbers, here's where we need to be. You don't have to have a screaming match. You don't have to say who lost,
Right.
you didn't do this. It's all there, and we'll see next week where you're at. Do you guys use that in your team meetings, or how do your guys' team meetings generally run?
Yes, like today we have a leadership meeting. You know, we get all the managers, we get the assistant managers here, the foremans, excuse me, and we talk about how the month went and where we need to be and what goals we need to hit. And for the most part, they hit them. They hit them. We have our Friday meetings, you know, with the technicians, And we go over all the cars and what needs to be done and why is this car still here? And they all have answers for us. I don't think I've seen maybe once or twice where guys go, well, I don't know what's going on with the car. They all know their car. My service advisors and assistant manager, if I walk into a shop, I'll point it out. What's going on with that car? And they'll know. You know, we're all on the same page, you know. I don't want to be the one where Tom comes up to me and goes, what's going on with the car? And I go, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. You know, he's gonna tell me, well, why the heck did I hire you for? You know? My guys know that. And I tell it to the guys, if I'm gonna ask you about a car, I want to know what's going on with it. So please have an answer for me. I don't go, have an answer for me now. No, please have an answer. And they know. You know, it's that's how we do. We have a lot of team meetings and it's everybody knows what's going on.
Nice. And what are the metrics that you're tracking consistently on that week to week, month to month? I assume ARO, revenue. What other things are you guys reviewing with your managers and staff on a consistent basis?
We do effective labor rate, labor hours per ticket, per technician, gross profit, the top line and bottom line. You know, I send out an email every day with the report. And they see where they're at and they'll call me. The managers will call me. Well, what do I have to do? You know, I just sent one out last night and one of the stores is at $1.54, you know, labor rate per technician, and it has to be at $3. And so I'll be over there later on to help them out, you know. But that's how we keep track. We keep track of those main things, you know.
You mean 3 hours or $3?
Sorry, $3. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
you said
Excuse me.
$3 again. You mean
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah, $3.
Three,
I'm sorry,
okay.
3 hours. 3 hours. Excuse me.
Because otherwise, Sal, people are gonna go $3 per technician. How they making so much money? I don't
Yeah,
get
no,
it.
I'm sorry. It's 3 hours. My bad. 3 hours. 3 hours per ticket is what we keep track of.
Yeah, and that's good that you're focused on the numbers and even with like the AutoVitals dashboard. And I always say to people, look, you can get mad at me, but you can't get mad at math.
Exactly.
Math is neutral. Math isn't
Exactly.
emotional. It is what it is. Here's where we are. Where do we get to the next step? And that's why it's good to have a focus on those KPIs. And you're very good at helping people to understand how their behaviors move the number.
Mm-hmm. You know, we started focusing on effective labor rate. We used to run what $130. We're running $169, $175. I got one shot that's running $179. You know, we used to not focus on it, but once you start focusing on these main KPIs and you get these guys to join in, they'll get it fixed. I send them a report every night. They get in, the managers get in the email, the service advisors, they're all having emails, the system managers, you know, and I send it to them so they see it. Because if they're not looking at it, you know, it's, you know, I'm not giving them a roadmap to success. Right? I mean, I got to give them somewhere to go, or else they're going to be blind, you know? So that way they see it. I mean, I could look at it all day long. Tom could look at it all day long. And we could talk to them, you know, tell them about it, but I'd rather them see it with their own eyes. Hey, this is where you're at. This is what you need to fix. And they'll fix it. And it's got fixed.
Just to put Sal's words into context so that y'all can understand what he's talking about effective labor rate. So I just picked one location, Sal. I didn't do all the locations. I just picked one at random. Okay. And I ran 365 days, right? And then I ran the last 90 days. Okay. And the difference is that you've picked up $11, right, per hour on effective labor rate. Now, for all of you at home, just do some simple math and just write down that number, $11 per hour. Then multiply that times how many hours per ticket that you're averaging, right? So if it's 3, so that becomes 33. Labor is typically a 50-50 split, right? Parts and labor. Okay, so the 33 now becomes 66. Now multiply that times how many ROs you wrote last week. Okay, and so if that's say 50, so that's 330. I'm doing it in my head, so math may be wrong, but 330. Now take the 330 and multiply that times 52 weeks. $11 may not sound like much. Al, nice job, brother. Nice job. and having this data in
you.
front of you that you can share with people, that's Sal, that's your job. But all this warm and fuzzy stuff that you heard about culture and why you want to work there, that's what generates that extra money, because you can ask people to do things and you have the tool that you can show them. And just outstanding job, Sal. Way to go. That's a
Thank
win-win.
you. Thank you. Thank you. No.
Yeah, I mean, that is incredible. And I think just to put emphasis on what you said of like sharing the numbers and the key performance indicators with your team. We see so many folks that they keep the numbers to themselves, right? It's a secret of where the ship is going, how much revenue the shop is making, everyone's take-home pay. It's a secret. But really, when you have that transparency to everyone in your team, they have more buy-in because they feel like, okay, I'm a part of this journey and we're all heading to the same destination. And I know exactly what I need to get my shop, and everyone feels like it's their shop where we want it to go. So I really like that you're sharing that information with your team every day.
And I like what you said. You know, we don't, you know, I tell Tom sometimes, I go, you know, your shop. He goes, no. It's our shop. It's everybody's. He's never ever said my shop. My shop. No. Even the guys that go, well, you know, your shop is doing, no, it's our shop. You know, it makes a difference. Little things like that, guys, it really makes a difference. Making people feel a part of it and not just an employee. Trust and believe it does. And that's why we
Taking
have the
ownership.
success we have.
Sal,
Yeah,
can I bring up
everybody-
another thing real quick for you?
Yes.
You know, because I know that there's some of you out there watching this and you're going, okay, so, you know, January, February, March, right? Or
Mhm.
last 90 days from, you know, we're in April. Yeah, January, February, March, right? Last 90 days, it's typically one of the tougher periods in automotive, right?
Yeah.
Things tend to slow down a little bit. People spend too much on Christmas, blah, blah, blah. You hear all those excuses. Well, here's the interesting part. Okay. And this goes back to the team effort, having the tools to show. Last year, again, this one location, which I'm not going to mention, they averaged 49 new customers per month on average over 365 days. Okay. Now, when you start to break that down, which I didn't, but in general in automotive, when do we have our big rush times? Summertime, right? You know, and especially if you're near any coast in the United States, and that's where everybody lives, by the way, because everybody moves. Humans like to live near water for transportation and whatever. We gather together. No one's living in the middle of North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, even though it's beautiful. There's not that many people living there. So if you think of the summertime, because that's where they want to take their vacations, they want to travel, we get really busy. We have a lot of new customers. Would you agree with that, Sal? In the summertime, get a big bump in the summer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The problem is, while everyone else out there is going, oh, woe is me, I was down in January, I was down in February, according to your metrics, which of course we could track, you actually went up to 52 brand new customers per month from 49. So you picked up on average during what's supposed to be your slowest time of year, an extra 3 per customers over the average of last year. Way to go. Kudos, brother. Kudos.
Thank you.
So if you're out there wondering, why don't I have cars? Why are they got cars? Well, they're looking at it. They're looking at the numbers. They're looking at what's going on. They're paying attention. They got people who care. I'll shut up for a minute. I'm talking too much.
And I'll say this too, 'cause I think George is onto something. The shops that I talk to that groan the loudest about it's an election year and the economy and the time of year, they aren't doing the things that George and Sal are talking about. Yeah, maybe it's just a coincidence, but every time I ask, it's like, no, not doing that, not doing that, not doing that. So definitely, I think you really have to focus on the economy that's between your ears.
Yep.
Right? Do you have the right mindset? And Sal clearly does.
You know, I had Tom when the gas prices went up. Tom goes, well, Sal, gas prices are up. I go, great. That means people still have to drive. People still have to go to work. I go, great. That was one of our best months. We did over 300,000 in one location. You know, Christmas is coming. That's okay. Cars don't know Christmas. They don't need a present, you know? And I don't tell my guys, hey, you know what, guys? Sorry, the economy's really bad. We're gonna have a crappy month. No, I go in there, I go, hey, you know what, guys? It's gonna be a great month. We're gonna do great. We got 28 days in February, you know, and we have one of our biggest Februarys ever. You know, it's a mindset. It's the way you, the leader, goes into the shop and says, you know what, it's gonna be a bad month. I'm sorry. No, you can go in there, you go, hey man, let's go. This is gonna be great. You know, I've always been a cheerleader. You know, I know how to pump my guys up, and it's about pumping your guys up because they look at you. You're the leader. They keep an eye on you, on what you do. And you know, and I'll be damned if I let my guys down. To me, that's a goal. I can't let these guys down. You know, so just positive attitude. That's all it is. You know, the economy is in between your ears, like Eric says, you know. That's what you tell them.
Yeah, that's a great saying, Eric. I'm definitely gonna steal the economy between your ears.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question.
I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to ask you a question as we go through. You've worked with hundreds and hundreds of shops implementing AutoVitals. If you could give like one piece of advice, regardless of what inspection system they're using, to be like, go back into your shop and do this one thing, and you will see your consistency and your metrics improve. Do you have a nugget of wisdom for us on that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so you didn't want me to answer that, right, Lauren?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you, Eric, and George and David, if everyone can answer, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Okay. So I'll start then. I mean, really it's about the repair order audit process, really having that process where you're consistently looking at the ROs. And it just sends a message because people know that you're watching. Even if you didn't look at each and every single RO, it sends them a message that, hey, you know what, if I take a shortcut, somebody's going to ask me about it. So if I had one piece of advice, that would be it. Have a consistent repair order audit process.
David, what would you say from your experience working with shops?
Well, I think that I love what Eric said. I mean, definitely we have to review all of the processes that go into it, and I think that it's important to take a step back and think about the customer and what you're delivering to the customer and how that is being perceived, and what you're delivering to the customer, and making sure that that is how you want to represent your business, your brand, and how you want to share the information so that they can understand, and just making sure that it's digestible and actionable for the customer to make that buying decision. So I mean, it's in relation to, you know, a DVI. I think that's an important thing to evaluate. Sometimes we get caught up in our processes and things that we know. We have to step back on the other side and look at it from the customer's point of view is an important aspect to take into consideration.
Nice. And Sal, being in the trenches, if you could go back and look at your implementation and do it all over again, what's the one thing that you would start with right from the start?
You know, that's a good question. I would start implementing right away with these guys instead of waiting, you know, to see what they could do with it. You know what I mean? Instead of just waiting to see, you know, how it works, more training on it. That's what helped us, is getting more training on it. I would change that. I would get more training faster, like we are doing it now. We're doing it now. We're training these guys right when they come in. The first thing they do is they get a tablet, and we teach, whether it be an advisor, whether it be a technician, anybody. I would have done that different. You know, that's what I would have done different. I would have done it right away, not waited, you know, till it went to 40% or 30%. And then Tom goes, I thought you were fixing it, you know? I go, I am, I'm working. And I call Eric, help me. That's what I would do different. You know, I would implement that as training in the beginning, like what we're doing now. Asking for help.
Okay, so I'm going to go in a different direction here. Okay, go figure. Sorry. So one of the things that we have to look at is we have to look at, and you're all feeling it. We had 2.5 years of bounty that may never happen again like that. Okay. Technically, we're not in a recession, but mentally, you may think that, oh, it feels like recession because we're not in this land of bounty where we're booked out 2 and 3 weeks. Okay. So that's a problem. And that goes back to Eric's, your economy inside your head, which I'm going to steal that line too. Obviously, Eric says all kinds of wonderful things I steal constantly. I don't have to know anything. I have to listen to smart people and just steal.
We call it borrow, George. We call it borrow.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
stealing.
Borrow and adapt. So, but here's the thing. Now that we're back to 2018, 2019 sales, the way you sell, right? Not sales numbers, but the way you sell, the way you talk to people. And it's not, people aren't just buying everything. Now we have to do things. One of the key indicators on here that I'm looking at the dashboard again, first time customer return rate is absolutely crucial that you start looking at this because you didn't pay attention to it for over 2.5 years. Okay. And you need to start really looking at that to see, okay, I'm getting these people in and am I getting them back? And part of this is, and on here I could look at, did they come from Google? Did they come from the website? Did they come from, it's telling me, it's giving me the data where these people are coming from, right? But here's the thing. If they've never been in before and they found you on Google, what was their behavior like for the last 20 years? If they're 40 years old, they've been driving since they were 20, where they don't have a home to go to. You're not just fighting for this visit. You're fighting to change 20 years worth of behavior. Okay. 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. So one of the things you have to look at is first time customer return rate. Okay. If they come in one time, what's that return rate look like? Sal, in your location, you're up again another 13%. So you trended up and then you trended up again. I don't even know if this is one of the things that you're looking at. I absolutely do. And you out there need to have this data in front of you so you know, am I trending up and up and up? Am I working for that? Because unfortunately, I talk to people all the time and I start saying, okay, what's your retention marketing look like? What's that kiss goodbye at the counter look like? Sal, your kiss goodbye at the counter is doing really well. And I know that because it's year over year up another 13%. That your guys the guys and gals are doing what they're supposed to do. But if you don't have this data in front of you, you don't know. Right. And you may think you're doing okay, and you may be down 20%. I've talked to people they're doing zero retention marketing. You know why? They turned it off at work during COVID because they booked out 3 weeks, and then they forgot to turn it back on. I get it, but you got to have the data. You got to have it in front of you. Okay, I'll be quiet again. Sorry, I talked too much. Sorry, Lauren. I talked too much.
Oh, no, absolutely. We did have a question from the audience that Sal, if you wanted to answer. James asked, how do you manage quality control while growing your numbers?
How do I manage quality control? That's a great question. How do I manage my quality control? We make sure we treat everybody great when they come in, and make sure we talk to customers, acknowledge them in the beginning. We try to get the car done right the first time, that way they know they're getting good quality work. And we set our parts matrix, excuse me, to where it needs to be, where we're not taking, we're making money, but we're not taking advantage of our customers. Our Google reviews for our Temecula is over 1,100, 5 stars, and a lot of people like our quality of what, our brand, our parts where we get them from Napa. We don't put cheap parts in our vehicles. We go to the dealer quite a bit, but we're fair. And that's how our numbers grow. We raise our labor rate every quarter, like we were instructed to, and it's worked. You know, customers don't complain about the amount or the price. I haven't had one customer complain about the labor rate. They care about the quality of work we do. And I think we do great quality, and that's what grows our numbers. You know, and like we said, we kiss our customers on the way out. I have a guy that goes and opens the door for a customer. You know, and on their car. He parks the car, opens it up, opens the door, boom. That's good quality. That's a good quality guy right there. You know, that's how we grow our numbers. Good quality parts, good quality work, good quality employees.
Yeah, and I think the last part you said too, of in addition to the parts and the work, is like you're hiring A players who know that you care about them. They're automatically going to transfer that. Customers can feel when people are happy where they work.
Oh
And
yeah.
any business, you walk into a fast food restaurant, someone's not happy, you know immediately. Walking into an operation where top down everyone's happy, the customers definitely feel that. So
Yeah, they do. You know, customers know when you're fake. Trust me. They know when when they come in, the guys are, hey, how's it going? Welcome to Redhawk. You know, they don't overdo it either. They don't go, welcome to Redhawk. Here's a bottle of water. Here's a soda. Here's this. No, come on, man. Let's be real here, you know? You know? Uh, that's how our numbers grow. Quality players, A players, premium product, you know, service, everything. That's how you grow those numbers.
And one of the things I'd like to mention real quick for all of you out there that are saying that, well, A players, you can't find A players. There's no decent people out there. He's got a bench. He said it earlier. He's got a bench. Okay, why'd you got a bench? Because he treats people right. The only reason I'm at ATI is because I never met Sal. I'm glad I never met you, Sal. I love what I'm doing now. No offense. No offense. I'm just
Hey, I'm
saying.
going to open another location. You're more than welcome.
But I
But-
do think, I'm sorry, go ahead, George.
No. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I think you just have to, if you're a shop owner and you're watching this now, you have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this question. Would you work for you?
Yeah.
And be brutally honest. And if the answer is no, that's okay. But if the answer is no, that could be part of the challenge as far as attracting the people. The people that can answer yes, or got to the point where they can answer yes, they're in a place where they are attracting the A players. I mean, I could think of several other shops, an example, that are similar to Sal. And I know for them, it's all about the culture. And they're able to attract these key people. So if you're not attracting these key people, and it's like pulling teeth, look in the mirror and ask yourself that question.
I'll give you an example. Can I give you a quick example? I had a guy that quit on me. You know, and I use this a lot. And he recently, about a month ago, he was from Big Old Tires. He quit on me. He goes, you know, just because I transferred him to a different location. And he goes, yeah, I'm not gonna make that kind of money. I quit. And I'm like, why would you quit? I thought you liked working there. He goes, well, I love it, Sal. Just I don't want to work there. Okay. So I called Tom. Tom goes, don't worry, he'll call you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. No later than 7:30 a.m. the next day, he calls me and goes, Sal, I want to come back, man. I love Redhawk, you know. And I go, okay, you can come back. I never let you go. You let yourself go, you know? He goes, you know, what happened was he probably went and looked at another job and he saw that the culture was terrible. Or he got that interview that was really bad. You know what I mean? And now he's there, he's happy, and you know, it's just funny. You could tell when you have a good culture like that, when the guy wants to come back and he's happy, you know, and you know, it makes me feel good when these guys, you know, we had just had a visit from two shops in the local area because we saw them at the conference, and they go, wow, you guys look very happy. They're always smiling. You know, it's you know, I go, well, we treat them right, you know. It's the culture. I keep saying it. The culture. That's how you're gonna get these guys on the bench. You know, I got phone numbers. I call me myself. I don't even know who they are. They go, hey, I know Paul from Pesh. You know, he told me you guys were probably hiring. You know, and I don't even know these guys. You know, it's because they hear about the culture. It's the culture. You want to grow your numbers? Build that culture. Get those 8 players. Don't hire just because you need to hire somebody just to fill in a spot. I won't do that. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, I say this very humbly. I'm gonna hire the best, the best. I'll go without a technician for a while. I'll get somebody else to go work over there, so I can hire the best. Because that's what's gonna grow your company.
Nice. Awesome. We have a couple more questions coming in if we could take these as well. Darren asked, you may have mentioned this, but what is your retention rate? And David too, maybe you can shed some light on typically what a good goal we recommend for our shops on retention rate is.
That question for me?
Yeah, do you know your retention rate off the top of your head or your goal?
Oh, no, to be honest, I don't. I don't have that many turnovers. If that's what we're talking about, employee turnover, is that what you're talking about?
For returning customers.
Oh, jeez. Off the top of my head, to be honest, I don't.
Cool.
I
Yeah, that,
don't. I know we have a lot of returning customers, that's for sure.
yeah. I
I
see
get,
like, looks like your goal is around 50%. David, what do we
Yeah.
typically recommend for a shop with CRM? What are we looking at in terms of retention rate goals typically?
Yeah, I mean, north of 50 or 60%, because really, it's 10% loss is really what you can expect. And if you could retain the other 90, that would be ideal. But realistically, be maybe down just a bit from there. But if we can be in that 50, 60%, that's a good place to be, because like I said, you got to accept that 10% for various reasons, and then we try and retain everybody else, and we want all those customers to keep coming back. And a lot really of Lauren, what you said earlier, that Sal is just emulating about that culture and having the people are happy. People are going to want to come back and have that experience again with an organization that is well run and is healthy.
Awesome. And then there's another question too, just as we're running out of time, I want to make sure everyone gets their questions answered, from Steve asking, Sal, do you use any tools to locate technicians? He said he's used Indeed and it was not effective in his area. Is it just word of mouth for you guys? Are you guys using some tools as well?
I sometimes go and sit down at a tire shop, take my Redhawk shirt off and put on a regular civilian shirt, and I'll sit down and I'll just look at the counter guys, or I'll sit across the street watching a technician work. I use Indeed, but I've had more luck with my technicians and my GSs, my general service guys, bringing people to me. I'll ask them, hey, do you know anybody that's really good that wants to work? San Diego, I have quite a bit of people down in San Diego, but the way I got those people was because I went to my technicians and asked them, hey, do you know anybody that wants to work that's actually good? I want an A player. I don't want just somebody to fill a void. That's why I got them. But I do it on Indeed. I don't go to Craigslist. I don't do Facebook, because I mean, to me, a lot of those guys, I mean, they just want to be there to make money, and that's what we're all there for. But I want somebody that actually loves the brand, loves the culture, loves to work for Redhawk, and wants to make money. But I use Indeed, or I'll use my technicians, or I'll go sit down, or I'll have my district, my business development manager go down there and do it himself. He'll go down there and watch them. That's one of the ways I've gotten some of my guys. Actually, my technician has been with me for 15 years, Paul. I was checking him out at a Firestone, and now look he's been with me. He goes wherever I go. He's like attached to me. He's glued, And the other technicians that have been with me for a long time as well, I'll still ask them. I just asked one of the guys to the walk, hey, do you know anybody that lives in Escondido? We want to purchase a location. He goes, oh yeah, I know a couple people. Ask your technicians, ask your service advisors. If they came from an automotive shop, they're gonna know people, and they're gonna know the good ones, And I use Indeed once in a while, but I mean, I don't get a lot of hits on Indeed. Mine is all word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth is great too with the referrals, because then they have an accountability buddy too, because they're bringing them into the business. They're like, oh, Joe, you can't make me look bad. You got to come in and be an A player, else it's also in my name. So it's a great way that not only are you keeping them accountable, but also whoever referred them.
Absolutely.
Some stake in the game in their training and as well.
And don't get me wrong, I've made mistakes. Our Jefferson location, I did a wrong hire in the beginning. That was our first location that we actually purchased. I mean, we bought Wolf, it's our satellite, but our Jefferson location, I had the wrong, Eric will tell you, I had the wrong people in there. I thought there were 8 players, and guess what we did? We changed them out right away. We said, nope, those are not the right guys. That shop was going backwards. You know, I took my eye off of it for a minute. Got right back in it, put the right people in. Now it's changing. It's actually up from last year. You know, so.
Awesome, cool. Well, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We are a minute over, even though I could personally sit here and talk for hours. So Sal, do you have any like one last piece of advice you want to give the audience, or you feel like you covered it?
You know what? I think I covered it, but just one more thing. One more. Did everybody leave? Oh, okay.
No, we're still good. I'm just sharing if anyone has any follow-up questions, these are where to reach AutoVitals and ATI. But
You
no,
know,
serious advice.
Positivity. Positive, be positive with your guys. Build a great culture, and I guarantee you, your numbers will go up. Stay positive. Don't let the economy or anything like that get into your service advisor technician's ears, because what's going to happen, they're just going to go, oh, it's going to be a bad month. Be positive. You know, build that good culture, hire 8 players. That's it. That's all I got.
Awesome, cool. Well, I appreciate everyone for joining. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Eric. Thank you, David. Again, if you have any other questions from the ATI or AutoVitals team from what was covered, want to dive in a little bit more, here's how you can contact us. But thank you so much, Sal. It was an honor to have you on.
Thank you, Lauren.
Shout
Thank
out
you
to
guys for
Tom as
having me.
well, in the audience. Tom, thank you for joining and watching. You certainly are running a great organization at Redhawk. So thank you for letting Sal take an hour out of his day to come talk with us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.